guys, it's May from Where's Mailing, and in this episode we are going to be talking about 4 methods to get over jet lag. Some of you guys know from my Instagram, Where's Mailing, I travel all over the world and have been a digital nomad for about 5 years. Before that though, I used to work in the hedge fund world and they would fly me around like crazy, plus all my money always goes to travel, so I'd travel around like crazy. And getting over and getting through jet lag was a core skill. I have literally tried every method. Some people have videos on their favorite method as if it's the only method, and I think that's awesome that it works for them. But I am 100% sure that the methods that will work for each person really vary depending on their deal. And also, it turns out the methods that worked in your 20s may not work in your 30s and your 40s. So it can really change as you age. As such, I'm going to present all 4 methods. One or some combination of these should work for you. We're going to talk about how they actually work, the upsides, the downsides, and then we're going to discuss just other considerations across the methods that may be relevant. Before we get into that, my New Year's resolution is to post a lot more travel helpful tips, so it'd be amazing to get you to like, share, comment, or subscribe and support this New Year's resolution. So with that, let's talk about 4 different ways to get over jet lag. So the first way to get over jet lag is actually pretty healthy, and what it's conceptually about is moving your current circadian rhythms toward the hour and time zone that you'd like to be in before you travel. This works best for short distances, like 3 or 4 time zone distances, and for people that don't have other outstanding issues, which I'll talk about in a bit. Let's say you're trying to go from New York to California. You've got 3 time zone distances to get through. You're gonna start waking up later and sleeping later. Usually you do a half hour to an hour a day until by the date that you leave, there's either only a half hour remaining, or you're more or less already waking up and going to bed at the times that you'd like to be awake and go to bed in California. Now this works great for my single people and my friends that have kids, husbands that are already a little older and can conceptualize schedule as a team, etc. But for the busy mom who's doing all kinds of crazy stuff, for my friends that have in the evening jobs or early in the morning jobs, this can get a little bit tough to execute on. It may not be the method for everybody, but some variation, even if you can shift 1 or 2 hours, can make a big deal if the distance and the time zone difference isn't big. But what if it's like 8 hours because you're going to Europe, 7 hours, or it's like 12 hours because you're going to Asia? This method really is hard for a lot of people to execute on if that's the case. And that takes me to my second method, which I call the sleep deprivation method. This method is not healthy and it is not for everybody. And I'm gonna go through it a little bit and then put a whole lot of disclaimers around it. But it is a legit method, and it in particular works better when you're younger, very healthy, typically getting a lot of sleep or normal sleep. And it works a whole lot worse, I'm not gonna lie, as you get a little bit older. Sleep deprivation method is exactly like it sounds, and there's more than one way to execute on it. Now, being situated in North America, the most common way that I've seen it done is if you're flying to Asia. And this is really important because you land in Asia at night if you take almost any flight from the US to Asia. So that is a key component of this method. But what you'll do is you just won't sleep that night. You'll push through until whatever time your flight is, and then you will get on the plane and pass out like a rock star. You'll wake up on the other side, it'll be night. The inconsistent sleep or poor sleep that you got on the plane will have you so exhausted that you'll pass out again once you get to your hotel. Now, a modification of this method, if you're like, ooh, I'm intrigued, but at the same time, no, I'm not doing that, is to sleep deprive yourself over the series of a few days. And there, you're gonna have to know your sleep deal pretty well. It's about setting your alarm clock and forcing yourself out of 1 sleep cycle each night so that you are fairly exhausted, but not completely incoherent on all the days you do it. Now, for most people, you really only have to do that for 2 nights, and you're in enough of a sleep deficit where you will pass out on the plane. It also, as you can tell, depends on the fact that you get some sleep on the plane. If you know that there's no way, no matter how much deprivation you get, that you will pass out on the plane, this is not the way to do it. Now realize as well, if you're doing sleep deprivation method and you do not sleep the majority of your flight on the plane, especially if you're flying to Europe where a lot of the flights land in the AM from North America, you're gonna need a place to sleep on the other side. So book your hotels accordingly. It's kind of a big deal. Essentially though, no matter how much you sleep on the plane sleep is not the same as being on the ground sleep. So you will be quite exhausted when you land. So you will need to make arrangements fairly quickly thereafter. Now let's talk about the third method of jet lag management, and that would be what I call the caffeinated method. Now, this presumes that you are sensitive to caffeine in some way, shape, or form. And one of the benefits from North America that you have if you're going to Europe or if you're going to some parts of Asia is that the caffeine outside of the US is Robusta. It's a lot stronger, or alternatively, it's a very intense version of Arabica. For the most part, we in North America drink a much medium to lighter version of Arabica coffee, which is slightly less caffeinated. Now you really can do this two ways. You can go 100% cold turkey, you drink no coffee whatsoever, and you try to push through the lack of caffeine haze of the day, jump on your plane and off you go. Sometimes you might need to do this for 2 days so that you're truly exhausted. It will, just like the previous method, make you pass out on the plane if you're truly sensitive to coffee and need it desperately like I do. You will want to manage your work assignments that day because if you got that brain fog, you know it is what it is. The second method of how to do this is to just reduce your caffeine by half the days before. So if you're a 3 cup, you do 1 to 2 cups, or maybe you do 3 cups, 2 cups, 1 cups. And you really want to play around with how many days before you want to reduce the caffeine. On the other side of it, you will drink coffee as much as you want until you get exactly the right balance of how you sleep. Now, the fourth method of how to get over jet lag is actually the healthiest method. I call it the cardio method. What you'll want to do is when you land in the country, do the best you can to sleep, but no matter how early you wake up, if it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever it might be, you do a 30-minute cardio workout. Specifically, jogging is by far the best, and you can do it on a treadmill, you can do it outside, but the point is to really bring your heart rate up like normal cardio. Now, this works best if you're already in the habit of doing your morning workout in the AM. What will happen is that your body will be brought back to its regular habit almost immediately, because there's something about cardio that syncs with your circadian rhythm. Now, while some people have told me that this works whether you're an evening person on the workout schedule or you're a morning person on the workout schedule, I've always found it works almost immediately if you're a morning workout person, and it specifically works best with running, not with lifting. I know some people have heel, ankle, all kinds of injury, so really the point that I'm trying to make here is you need to bring your heart rate up to what you'd expect in a light cardio workout best you can. Now, one thing I really want to stress with this method is that you really want to go easy on yourself on the other side, okay? We're getting our heart rate up, but we are not trying to injure ourselves so we don't enjoy the trip. And this is a really important point because a lot of people do not realize that you do have a lot of physical fatigue even if you don't think you did anything strenuous on the plane. No matter how seasoned travel you are, no matter how lightly you packed, you are probably doing more exercise, more steps, and also putting your body through more stress than on an average day. The body clenches up in ways that you are not even aware of. So you should anticipate on the other side a significantly lower performance level. And unless you enjoy or really want to test out your insurance in a foreign country, don't do it. It's not worth it. This by far is the healthiest method, as I mentioned, and so I do recommend this, but the truth is I get lazy too, so I can't always be doing this. Now, I've used all of these methods individually, and I've used combinations of all of these methods, mostly because I really like the taste of coffee, and also because for a while I was training for half marathons all the time. But they are absolutely going to vary by person. It will not work for everybody exactly the same way. A couple of just bonus items that people have told me about from time to time. First is some people do use different sleep help herbs. and that's awesome. It has never really worked for me. That said, I do carry like mint tea and different calming teas so that when I'm on the other side, I can kind of relax. And what I then do as well, if I know that I have a trip coming up, is I'll drink that tea as well for a few weeks so that it just reminds my body that it's time to go to bed. Additionally, you can take a hot bath. That, oddly enough, works really well. Plus, if you're staying in a hotel, someone else gets to clean that tub, not you. Kind of nice. Now, the other thing that's really important, whether you choose to use these methods or not, is that you should anticipate, if you're going to a place where you know jet lag is going to be an issue, that you will be a little disoriented mentally. And so it really is very important that you pack in a way where the things you'll need almost immediately are available in an easy spot. I'll have to do a separate video on that, so definitely subscribe to my channel if that's of interest to you. But disorientation from jet lag is a real thing and a real consideration, and it's particularly true if you're using the sleep deprivation methods. The final thing I'm going to say is that if you have a major medical condition, you need to check with your doctor before doing any of these methods, because sleep is so tied into everything else. You can't just be doing whatever. Come on now. Well, that's all I have for this episode of Where is Mei Ling. I hope you guys have great travels. And again, if you would like, share, comment, or subscribe, that'd be amazing. And if you have your favorite method or favorite little hack, put it down below. I'm always interested in hearing what people are doing. Until next time, safe journey.